Welcome to Grow Overload, and we'll talk about some gaming today, specifically Microsoft. And they talked about their gaming revenue here because they just had their announcement of their earnings for Q4, which happens to end their year. So their quarters do not line up with the normal year, but their Q4 and earnings here just happened, and they said that they have almost $5 billion in annual revenue for Xbox Game Pass. Now, I'm a little shocked by this. I'm shocked that it has been going up, specifically with how Microsoft has kind of treated the Xbox gamer overall. I am glad that they're being able to make some money on this. I guess they're making money. I kind of see that as making money, but we'll see. They said it's up 13%, the whole Xbox um, services, and the hardware though is down 22%. So the Game Pass is a big driver of this. And maybe the first party games of their whole library getting into Game Pass has become a thing where people want to buy that. I mean, they did mention that they have like 15 million people on Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, I think it is, if I remember correctly, from listening to this, and they seem to be putting together something. I also was reading where they put out most of the storefronts on PlayStation are Xbox games that are in the top 10. And so when you see what is dominated by the front of these stores and what Microsoft's doing with Xbox Game Pass and how they're putting it out there, they're showing that they got some dominance, or they're trying to show it. I don't know how much of that is actually true. I mean, they do have these handhelds that are coming out from ROG that are, branded Xbox, kind of, right? ROG is still there. Xbox is just add on to it. Yeah, they don't play console games. And so these are certain things where if Microsoft's able to put it together, maybe they are putting an effort in to make, gaming there. I still have my reservations based upon layoffs and stuff that has came from that side of things. But overall, I was shocked at Game Pass almost doing $5 billion in a year. And if they can keep that up, if they can keep the people coming back and wanting more out of Game Pass, this could be a product that Microsoft is actually driving growth in for that. We'll have to see how this continues, right? We have a lull as I think sales will continue to decline until a new Xbox, new PlayStation comes out. And then we'll see how that kind of goes, because with Microsoft's current position towards gamers, you could say, and games, it makes it kind of interesting of where they're going to go, right? I've mentioned before that I'm thinking about getting rid of my Xbox and then moving to a computer to play games on. I think that if Microsoft does that, has all the console games on there, I'd be really excited for that. Halo 5, that would be a good idea, and maybe we'll get there. We'll see. But uh, there's also other games, right? I'm guessing Halo is going to also go on PlayStation at some point in time. So there's a lot of work there to do it. If they keep doing these cross-platform games, getting them on PlayStation, what's the advantage then for the Xbox Game Pass? Maybe the Game Pass is the driver to sell consoles and not consoles to sell Game Pass. I actually thought of that, while I was listening to this, is that maybe they're hoping that Game Pass is the driver and that you want to play your game, so that you're going to get a Xbox because that's where this Game Pass is on. And maybe they'll eventually have enough games where you just buy a computer, or even have, third party people building Xbox consoles. There's a whole world that they could really open up to. I you know Maybe PC is the future for those games, and they kind of work off that. I was listening to Moore's Law is Dead, and he had a good uh, kind of mention in there where he was saying maybe, or maybe it was his brother, uh, on their weekly or every other week podcast, where they say they buy this graphics card that's pretty much equivalent to the Xbox, and that's the one that is the console equivalent. So it makes your computer the console that can play console games. That would be an interesting aspect if that's where you get into it. Maybe you have to boot in or go into a console mode. And I'm perfectly okay with that if that happens. I don't know the legal requirements there for game manufacturers if they want to have a say in it. Uh, I kind of feel that there's a dollar amount that if Microsoft's making enough and that they say, hey, why don't we do this a little bit? Here's a little bit of money here to get this game to be, play anywhere, or, go in and just be in a console mode. Here's what we're doing. This is what it was meant, and here we go. And other games that maybe have stopped, maybe it's just a little publisher fee or whatever else to get that going. While there is contracts out there, and contracts seem to, some people break off of them, do all these things. There's also the little bit of, hey, you know what? This is this will go through and be like, yeah, we're going to be doing it this way. Here's a little bit of something for you to make it worth your while, and all of a sudden those lawsuits kind of disappear, right? I've seen that before as well. But being shocked and everything about this, I, I'm still baffled, right? I heard this that they're making this month that the Game Pass is, you know, having growth, and that's, I mean, overall, right, with Microsoft, with all the first party games, ABK that they, Activision Blizzard King that they bought, ZeniMax games with Bethesda and everything there, with all the stuff that they've gone through of cutting out, certain teams, which, and laying them off, which I was a huge, that gets me worried because I really want games to be produced, and I like playing games. Granted, I don't play them as much as I would like, but it's one thing where I have a friend that plays a lot of games, and he likes to see new games out all the time and plays them. So it's one of those things where you start seeing layoffs, you get a little worried here that Microsoft isn't focused on the gamer and trying to build that brand. But here there seems to be some growth. You see with the Sony side of things where they're putting these games on storefronts. Now, do I think that those games will last forever at the top 10 of Sony, or that are in the top 10? No, I think, you'll have to put on new games and go from there. But Microsoft's showing that they can have success around, different platforms. And then hopefully they keep, treating PC and making sure that they're part of the Xbox experience if that's what they're going to continue, and being able to be that a little bit more seamless, because I think that where we are today with the handhelds and the ROG one being an Xbox one is kind of confusing, and I don't know if enough has been made light of this, or Microsoft has said enough to kind of point out what it actually means by the Xbox. Does it play all my Xbox games, like on Xbox console games only? Can I get one of those and play it, right? That should be specifically spelled out, because what you don't want to see is somebody buying this for their kids and all of a sudden it can't play those Xbox games that they may have bought and that are only on the console. That would be something, especially going into holiday season, that you want to have clarified. Granted, we have, 5 months until that happens, 4 or 5 months before you start hitting really into the holiday season, getting to Black Friday, getting to, the end of October and stuff, November, to really spur that on, and where you start making decisions for a device that, depending upon how much it costs, right? I've seen different things, right? If you get the cheaper one, it's maybe not as much, but you might want to put aside some cash for. So with that, let me know what your thoughts are on the whole Xbox Game Pass, having growth and having nearly $5 billion in annual revenue. I still don't know fully if it's fully profitable, right? We still don't have that aspect of it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting here. Hopefully, it kind of continues, and we'll see uh, some more of that money then put back into games, and really kind of help that take off, and put out good games for us gamers that like to play games. With that, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and be sure to read them. Thank you so much for watching and supporting Gray Overload. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, God bless.